in honor of Sid Haig. What's the matter, fans? You don't like fucking podcasts? You don't think we're fucking funny? Welcome to episode 46 of Dysfunctional Nerdcast. I'm Aaron, the one who's very unprepared today. I have no notes, nothing, so flying by the seat of my pants.
I'm Josh, and I'm usually the one that's unprepared, and I like to fly by the seat of my pants because I like the spontaneity of it. So I think this is going to be really fucking fun.
They always say you're brought down to the lowest level person. You're bringing me down.
Well,
I'm now unprepared.
See, this is what you're over-prepared. That's the thing. That's why you sound like a fucking robot sometimes.
I'm the showrunner, man. I gotta fucking have a flow.
You're like, okay, step 1, we have to talk about this. Don't deviate. Step 2, we have to talk about this. Don't deviate. Step 3, ignore everything Josh has to fucking say. Step 4.
That's step 1 for sure. Ignore Josh.
That's like the side step to every step of your step.
True. It's the first rule of podcasting. It's like Fight Club. Ignore Josh.
Well, let's just see how bad you fuck shit up today.
Let's see. So, of course, Sid, we got news he's in intensive care. Movie comes out next week.
I hope he's alive to see it come out.
I've had these premonitions, man, that this was before he was even hurt or whatever, in intensive care. I was like, he's not going to be around for this movie. He just looks terrible. So
he does look bad.
I hope he pulls through, man. He was a cool guy.
Yeah.
Met him several times. Partied with him a little bit in the hotel room. That was interesting.
I'm sure it was.
Weird shit going on.
I'm sure it was. He's a weird dude.
But yeah, here's hoping he pulls through, so.
Yeah, premonition? Do you have premonitions often?
Not often, no. Just when they do, they tend to turn true.
Huh.
So, I think he's going to win a posthumous Oscar for this role. If he dies.
It's a big word for you. Can you say it again?
No. Don't ask me to spell it.
That'd be awesome if he did. He's a very deserving man of that award.
Yes.
How many movies have been in? Like 500?
He has been in a lot, actually.
Yeah.
So, but I got to mention, this episode is also brought to you by 4State Comic Con. Go to 4statecon.com. It's going to be September 21st and 22nd, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Go to their website, find out how you can attend. We'll be there in person. We'll give a review a couple weeks on the podcast. So, again, 4statecon.com.
Yeah, check them out on Instagram and Twitter, too. You just find them under 4StateCon. And if you see us there, stop by and say hello.
That's right.
We'll be roaming around, checking it out, interviewing people, hopefully.
So, big news, or I guess the big thing of the podcast today is going to be, of course, It Chapter 2 review. So we got a little bit of a clown theme. I'm sitting across from a clown.
I wanted to be a clown when I was a kid.
I believe it.
Like, I seriously want to go to fucking clown school and all that shit. Then I realized that circuses are fucking bullshit. You create a circus in my life.
That's probably true.
Mm-hmm. I'm like waiting today for you to fucking show up. I'm like,
just got out of the movie. What am I supposed to do? Fucking travel here through?
Well, first we never really decided on what time, and I was like, all right, it's the opening day of football. My game's on around 4:00. If we go anywhere near 4, the podcast ends. Okay.
Ooh, he needs to watch his team lose, and he's wasting time. So why are we even talking about this? Wasting more time.
We got a couple minutes, but I'm sitting here waiting for you, and waiting. And waiting. I'm like, well, I know we said around 2:00, half an hour fucking later. You could have called, man.
I was in the fucking movie. What I'm going to call at the end of the movie? Oh, sorry, buddy. Next to me, I got a podcast. I got to let this guy know.
It's 2:40 right now. You got out at 1:45, you said. You couldn't
and it takes that long to get here.
You could have called and said, yeah, I just got out, man. There's a thing called text. Do you know how to text?
So you want me to text and drive? He wants me to
Before
die,
you
people.
fucking get in your car, say, hey, man.
So waste more time and be even more late.
If you can't text in 3 fucking seconds,
nope.
Throw your fucking phone out.
I'm an old school texter.
Not that he answers me anyway. Ever.
Let's move on. I did have some news before we get to the review.
This is why you need a list. Now you're totally off fucking track and I'm just going to go and ramble.
So we got to bring up Hasbro. They're always exciting with their news. And I guess it was announced that there's officially no Skywalker figures being released. But the interesting thing about it is, I guess the Black Series figures that are coming out, they're making packaging variants as like their first day release bullshit. They've done this before with Galactic Hunt. They did a first day release, I think it was for Clone Wars, which half the packaging in those releases had the sticker, half of them didn't. And then you'd find them a month later, which obviously is not the first day. It makes no sense.
Nah, this is why I fucking hate Hasbro. Hasbro.
And general consensus is there's not one person that gives a fuck.
I don't give a fuck.
Not
and I like
one.
this shit. It's upsetting to me.
It's like you'll concentrate on making a fucking white package instead of black, but you can't make
The
Rise of
figures
Skywalker
for the fucking
packaging.
movie. And like,
Where's
why
the
not
logic?
wrap it up? If you want to end that line, why would you do it on the last movie of the Skywalker saga? Why the fuck would you do that? They are idiots. Every single person who sits on that board is a fucking moron. I hope you hear me, and I hate you.
I just don't get it.
Me neither. Sad about it.
Yeah, this Force Friday, it's going to be a disaster.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Absolute
they would probably
disaster.
have like 4 of these fucking things available for the whole state anyway. They never have enough for anything. You walk in, one asshole buys them all, or some prick goes in beforehand with the code and says, "Hey, can you find this in the back?" And then Target never fucking
I hope that's
realizes
me. I'll
it.
just sell them all online for double and then pay for the regular ones.
I hate it.
That's all I had news-wise, man. It's been slow again. So,
It is pretty slow. And we don't have to have another 2.5 hour fucking episode.
no.
Which,
No.
thank you all for, listening to both halves of 45, episode 45. It's like a 45. You had to flip it to get to the
No
second
one knows
single.
what that is.
That's because you guys are so young.
That's right.
There's the generation gap there.
So, Pennywise, It Chapter 2. You want to jump
Sure.
right into it?
Sure, let's do it.
I have no notes, so I'm going to let you lead the way for once.
Wow, really? Okay. I have no notes, so this is going to be really fun.
So, I guess general consensus. What are your thoughts?
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I was going into this
Never
movie-
thought it would be bad.
Well, no, I was based on some of the reviews. It was like, it's too long. The stories are repetitive. There's repetitive things throughout the movie, and it's just way too long. I was fearing 2 hours and 45 minutes. It's not fucking Endgame. It doesn't have that huge climax after 20 fucking movies that you need to end.
But I
it
had a
isn't.
huge climax after Endgame, so
That's because you have a climax for Tony Stark.
that was the noise it made. It was like a fucking...
What kind? What?
It was like a half a shotgun load of... But not quite, because then I would just like...
Sounds like a sick
Blow my
version
own
of
dick
like
off.
Spider-Man's webbing coming out.
Yeah, that's basically what happens.
I can't even look at you for the rest of the podcast. I can't do it.
Accomplishment on my end.
Not that I want to look at you anyway. So that was my big fear, was sitting there for 2 hours and 45 minutes. But it didn't feel like 2 hours and 45 minutes to me. When I got done with it, I was like, wow, it's over. But then I did feel like it was long. But as I was watching it, it wasn't.
I felt
I
it was
didn't-
pretty long. Like, I needed a bathroom break, so I looked at my phone and I'm like, all right, should I wait or do I just go? And it was 2 hours in and I was like, holy fuck, we got another 45 minutes of this movie.
But you made it through 2 hours.
And it was like it was at the point where they're doing the final battle, basically,
Yeah.
or you think it's going to be the final battle. And I'm like, we got 45 minutes of a showdown. I guess I'm waiting because it started to ramp up at that point. But with that said, I don't know what they could have cut from this movie. It was extremely long, but nothing they showed was bad. And there was no time I'm like, God, why did you put that scene in there? You need to cut it.
No, there was maybe one little thing, but I'm not going to nitpick about it. What I want to get across with it being 2 hours and 45 minutes, I was not bored. I didn't find myself yawning, looking at the watch repeatedly. I checked like, okay, I'm an hour in, and I just wanted to know where I was. It wasn't because I was bored. I did not get bored. I never once said like,
I wasn't
Like,
bored, but
meh.
I just needed a break. Like, I can't sit for 3 hours. So when you have the previews and all that in there, it's just, man, I've been here 3.5 hours
it
almost.
was long, man.
It's just, I need a break. I need to get up.
But you didn't feel that way about Endgame? That was fucking longer. That was a bigger waste of a day, time-wise. That was
Well,
closer to 4 hours. All said and done, you
It
got
was
it.
under a 3-hour movie.
It was a 3-hour movie.
Okay, so it's an extra 10 minutes. Who cares?
It's an extra 15 minutes plus all of other fucking bullshit.
This
It's
was
still long.
$2.49.
It's still long. Just saying. Anyway.
That's an action movie compared to basically a drama.
I'm glad you said drama. Did you find it as horror related or horror-esque as the first one?
It's exactly the same tone as the first one, but neither one of them would I ever consider horror. True in a truest sense. It's psychological torment, yes. Horror, not so much. I never thought that.
And I thought like this time around, and maybe I don't remember the first part as much, but like the gore in it really wasn't much. It was more off-camera type thing, which is cool. I like that.
Not much in the first one.
Yeah, that's why I don't remember. But it was almost like a PG-13 violence to me. What makes it R? It was R, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it was the fuck bombs.
Yeah, there was 1,400 of them in it.
Yeah. If Bill Hader couldn't say that word in the movie, he'd have no role. Overall, it was a thriller drama type thing. There were some annoying aspects to it. That's why I took points off, which I'll get to at the end. But the time thing, that was my biggest thing. And like I said, I didn't sit there bored, which is a good thing.
I didn't even give my general consensus yet, but I would say good movie, not great. I don't think it holds up to the first movie, which I didn't think it would. Overall, it's good. Everything on it was like well done. I mean, the cinematography is good, the acting's good. I thought the script and dialogue were great, but it still lacked. It was a bit repetitive.
Yes.
The final showdown, I thought I've seen it before. It was almost exactly the same. So it is repetitive. Going back with the flashbacks, I didn't understand all that. So we'll get into that as a segment, I'm sure.
Yeah, that has to be a whole different thing there.
But overall, good, not great.
Yeah,
I would definitely recommend watching it. I mean, if you're a fan of the first one, definitely see it. Although, with that being said, you did not need to see the first movie to watch this one whatsoever.
I think it helps a little bit, but it does kind of stand alone. But I think it helps. But they did so much with the flashbacks. That's why you don't.
Let's get into it, because to me, when they split the movie up in the first one, it was all the kids, no adults. We had the feeling part one is going to be kids, part two is adults. And then basically you give us part two, which is more of a remake of the original movie, where you're getting both the adults and the kids part. It totally defeated the purpose of the first movie to me. So if you were to get rid of anything in this movie, just for the sake of let's not make it at 3 hours, let's make it 2 hours, just get rid of the kid stuff that really wasn't needed. I'm not saying it was bad, but it just wasn't needed because we already got it. So get rid of that shit, and it wouldn't have defeated the purpose of a kid movie and then an adult movie.
Yeah, because the first movie, we both liked the aspect of it being the coming of age type thing, which we both like those kind of stories. And it just the camaraderie between the losers and everything like that. You're watching them grow up and, go through the trials and tribulations of being a 13-year-old kid, in a small town. This, I don't even know what the feeling of this movie was. I didn't get that. I didn't get the whole, we're coming back together. We're going to defeat Pennywise. And you still didn't get that as an adult.
No, they're all very reluctant.
Yeah.
None of them really want to come back. They're more afraid now than they were as a kid, which does make sense because I fear a lot more things now than I did as a kid. You're naive.
You understand them better.
It's like,
you understand.
I'm not jumping off my roof anymore like I did when I was a kid because I have fear of breaking my legs, but shit like that, You drive a little bit smarter as you get older. Things of that nature.
You don't do the stupid things you did when you were younger.
That, I think, shows through.
But,
I just didn't need...
But also it played into because they didn't remember things until they came back to the town anyway.
Correct.
So, but the flashback scenes, I wasn't confused by it, but the way they put them in sometimes didn't make sense to me. Like, again, it wasn't needed.
I mean, I thought they made sense. I was like, I understand.
Sure. But do we have to see?
No, that's why I said we don't need to see
again getting treated like shit from her father. No, we already got that. And you always say, in a lot of conversations on the podcast and offline, give it a 2-minute wrap up. Just explain it in 2 minutes. You're done. You could have explained all those flashbacks in a couple of minutes, here, there, whatever, and you're done with it. Like, and we would have understood it.
They had a 10-minute scene about them being in their little clubhouse. We knew they had a clubhouse from the first movie.
Sure.
It's where they hang out. It's self-explanatory. And it was a funny scene, but was it needed? No. Not what. There's no point while I watched that I said, man, this scene fucking sucks. Like, this is so boring. But you just didn't need it.
No, that's the thing. It wasn't boring. It wasn't needed. So
Yeah.
does that make it bad? Like, I'm taking points off for that because shit wasn't needed.
I just wish the flashbacks would have been more, and they did a little bit of it where they look in the mirror and it's their reflection of them as kids. And I'm like, those type of flashbacks would have worked for me because then it's, in case you're not too familiar with the movie and it's like you're out of place with the characters, like it reminds you, oh, that person, James McAvoy is Bill or whoever. It puts you in that place a little bit. But other than that, I didn't need any of those scenes.
At any time were you like a little confused over who was who? Like at the beginning, like James McAvoy to me didn't seem like that kid growing up.
Oh, I thought they were all perfectly cast.
I liked Stanley and Bill Hader's character. I don't know.
I don't know any of their fucking names.
But you know, the kid with the glasses, Richie, right?
Fat kid, Richie.
Yeah, the fat kid looked nothing like he had.
Hypochondriac kid.
Yeah, the risk assessment dude, Eddie. Now it's coming back, Eddie.
Yeah, Eddie's fucking. He was the same dude, like as an adult.
Yeah.
Like that's who he would be. It was a perfect cast.
Yeah, his character got annoying to me. The one character that got really fucking annoying, and I thought it was going to be Richie the comedian guy, because he's, you know, that asshole that always cracks jokes and always has to say something every single time.
I'm not familiar with that, no.
Yeah, the both of us do that.
The fuck you talking about?
I thought it was going to be his character. It was just the whiny, bitchy, baby Eddie, you know. Although it was cool when he got stabbed in the cheek and he kind of manned up. But some of them, I don't know why, at the beginning, I got a little lost. I'm like, that really didn't make sense, matching him up with that.
And neither one of us read the book.
No.
I haven't watched the original movie in, I don't know, 10 years.
I watched it last year, or whenever we talked about it, part one.
So I don't remember what takes place in the original, how much liberty they took with it. Literally two things was all I knew from this movie. I remember the Chinese restaurant scene.
Yes, yeah.
And that she had an abusive husband. Beverly has an abusive husband. That was it. I don't know if any of the other stuff even takes place. Like, does Bowers come back? I felt that was kind of unnecessary.
Yeah, I don't remember. And I
like, he's just an escaped mental patient. He comes back and tries to kill some of them. Why? Like, if he would have came back as a manifestation of Pennywise himself, representing himself as the form of Bowers, I could be like, all right, this makes more sense.
But that's what I thought, because when Bowers is in the mental institution, he sees the red balloon go by, and
but it's still physically him.
Right, but I thought my take on that was Pennywise possessed him or whatever, because he was the one survivor that washed out from the drain among all those bodies, and that was after he killed his father or something, and then they just arrest him and they throw him in the loony bin because he's fucking crazy, right? Then he sees the red balloon. He knows it's Pennywise. He's seen Pennywise. Pennywise gave him, you know, maybe Pennywise liked him because Bowers was that fucking asshole. You know, he was a little evil. Maybe Pennywise like, oh, he could be my protege, you know? And then when he sees the balloon under his bed after he's chasing it through the hospital, he sees it outside floating and they throw him in his room. He sees the red balloon under his bed and he takes it out. And there's his buddy under the bed, right? That was his buddy that was killed by Pennywise. It gives him the stiletto knife that Bowers had and said, basically, Pennywise saying, go kill for me. And that's what he was. I took that as he wanted Bowers to try to eliminate at least some of them so they didn't have as much power to try and stop him.
That could be.
That was really long-winded,
Sounds
but
good.
I made my point.
I don't remember if he's in the original or not.
I don't either, dude.
Don't know. I don't even remember the people dying in the original. So, spoiler.
Aren't all of our review spoilers?
Of course.
So, our fans know that. If not, hopefully you're not a new fan.
Did you, I guess we can step lightly on the beginning scene?
Yeah.
A little propagandic?
It was a sign of the times. Maybe. It's kind of the way I look at it. What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. It seemed
unnecessary.
Again, unnecessary. I think he could have did something.
It was, to me, a little over the top.
Like, I would have rather they opened with the new kid that was in the funhouse. Maybe he could have just been like the new Georgie. So the movie opens kind of the same but different, where the kid goes into the funhouse, he gets asked to go outside, and Pennywise kills him outside. All right, that would have been fine, but I felt like you had this social message you had to put in. I don't like when shit just beats me over the face.
Yeah, I want it to be just normal, accepted. I don't care about, I just want it to be normal. That's the thing. That's what we need to get.
It just felt very forced. It was forced.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it just needs to be normal. We understand that these things happen, but it needs to be not thrown at you, I guess, Just as normal as, like, you and I are talking. And it's not normal, It's not an accepted behavior. And should we say what the scene was? Because I don't know.
I don't know. People know. I don't want to get in trouble either. See, this is why I hate all this shit.
But it's a terrible thing. Terrible things happen, but it doesn't have to be forced on you. But it shouldn't be not in the movie. I don't think it should have been a different situation. But don't force feed, please. And so what? There were 3 kids that Pennywise killed, though, right? I don't think about it, because he had the fun house, the girl at the baseball game, and the other kid.
That scene was great. That could have been the fucking movie.
Yeah, that was really cool.
I like that.
And they touched on her earlier, so she was like, you saw her before, right? And then you see her at the game, and it's like, that was really fucking cool. That was good cinematography. The way it was shot under the bleachers, with the firefly flying around and illuminates his face. It was fucking spooky. It was cool. That's why we hate clowns.
And it was probably the best part of Pennywise in this movie. I thought he was underutilized, man. Like, compared to the first movie, I thought he was much more prominent of a character. He's really not in it that much until the end. And
was
then at
he
the
even
end,
in it? Was
he's
he
that
even in it?
Stupid crab form. He's all gigantic. Like, I want regular old Pennywise being creepy, which is what he was with the Firefly girl.
Yeah, yeah. And was he in the movie? Really? Seriously, I think he was in the movie.
Half as much as the last movie.
Up until the final battle, he was in it maybe 20 minutes. That's what I feel like. And I get it, because you're more dealing with the emotional impact that these adults have to deal with as kids that went through this shit, as they're remembering it. The longer you're in Derry, the more you're going to remember. I get that. They focus on that emotional part, but not the spooky factor of, like...
Yeah, more of the CGI shit, or the monsters, if you want to call them that. They're all like the adults' manifestations. The dude has like the leprosy guy. And I'm sure the one that got you rock hard, that saggy old broad with the...
Dude, I laughed
huge
so
titties
fucking hard. I wasn't hard. I laughed so hard.
No, you were hard.
Now, when that thing came out, I was like, that would scare the fuck out of anybody.
Obviously.
I would cut my dick off if that thing came after me.
I thought it was your mom coming after me, is what I thought.
Wow, we haven't had mom jokes for a while.
But it was all those type of characters. It wasn't so much Pennywise. I'd rather have Pennywise. Like, they were kind of cool, but I'll take Pennywise any day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought the monsters and the manifestations were repetitive. It was like
they're very similar. It reminded me of like The Conjuring with Crooked Man, and it was those same type of characters.
And the little bugs and all those little things, like in the Chinese restaurant, and then you just see that style.
Why's it gotta be Chinese? See, you can't get anything past this guy.
It was a Chinese restaurant. There's nothing wrong with that. So all these little monsters crawling out of the fortune cookies, right? So there's like an eyeball with like all these little squid things behind it, these little hands, and like these
baby-faced bug.
Yeah, like
I didn't understand it.
It was so over the top. It wasn't even freaky. It didn't do anything, and that's what I took points off too. Was like it was just like, meh. You're trying so fucking hard.
I would have rather just like worms came out of it.
Yeah, that's Poltergeist did such a great job with that, with the worms, the maggots, things like that.
Lost Boys, which they show a poster of in the movie. You could have did homage to your own movie and had the worms, when he's eating the noodles and shit.
All that stuff, man. It could, if it was more simpler. It's like practical effects versus CGI. We all love practical better for the most part, right? It's more realistic. You're more fucking freaked out by it for a reason, or you can identify with it more because it's real. And when you get to the end too of Pennywise as this fucking crab thing, it's not even scary. It's not freaky. It's, again, so what? It's a clown body with fucking 8 legs. Okay.
Yeah, he was a crab in the first movie too.
Yeah.
So I don't. So the whole thing about this, you make good stories or movies, books, but your ending always sucks. Is this like a thing based off of Stephen King that people say his endings suck all the time? Or was that his own?
I wonder.
Kind of inside joke.
I wonder. I was wondering that too, because, and I don't know much about. If you love Stephen King, you love Stephen King, right?
I could take him or leave. I care less.
Yeah, I mean, we don't read anything but comics.
It's the
right?
knowledge of our podcast.
But I don't know. There are hardcore Stephen King fans. You're like, oh, you got to read this book. It's fucking awesome. Everybody, if you're a Stephen King fan, that's what I'm getting at. You're a fanboy. You know, you love it all. But maybe that is true of his books, that like the endings are just. See, to me, he has a formula. All his movies, the 80s movies, were all the fucking same. Christine, Cujo, you go back in the 70s, Carrie, they're all the fucking same, really. You watch the flow, it's the same exact flow and ending and everything else.
If you say so. I don't know how a dog and a car are the same movie, but
no, but it's the feeling. That's an.
Well, yeah, he writes fucking sci-fi horror.
Yeah, but it's always the same. It's bread and butter for him with those books. That was his bread and butter. He had the formula. He did it. It's an AC/DC song. They all sound the fucking same. They all progress the same. All his stories progress the same. Pet Sematary did the same exact thing.
I'll disagree, but that's a topic for another day. He was in the movie. He did make an appearance. He tends to try to. He wasn't in the last one, though, so he must have approved of the movie.
I guess.
To be in it, so.
And it is creepy enough. Did he have to be in there, though?
Why not? It's going to be some character. Might as well put him in. It's like the Stan Lee, man, of his own movies.
Is he going to be like... Yeah, I guess so. He has been in a lot. He always plays creepy. He looks old, man. I mean, I know he is, but... He had a good role in it as the antique dealer, because he is a fucking antique.
He was like a dickhead, too.
Do you think he's a dickhead in real life? I don't know anything about him. I don't think so. I think he's kind of cool. I've heard him.
He's a little bit of a recluse.
I'm a recluse. I like being reclusive.
What else is there in this movie? I have no notes, so I don't even know.
No notes? Oh, my goodness. Wow.
I thought the cinematography, some of the shit they did when you're watching it, and you're just like, how in the world did you film that? Blew my mind. Like some of the shit with the blood scene.
Oh,
where she's in the stall and it's just filled with blood, and then it tilts and Ben is in the ground getting like quicksanded basically, and then they reach and grab each other and they pull out, and it's just like, I don't know how they shoot that type of shit. So I mean, to me that was really good. Well,
camera tilt is classic, easy to do, right? And it disorients you, but still, if you get disoriented, it fucking freaks you out and you have trouble seeing it. But that was one of the better scenes, because I honestly thought the CGI was not that great.
It's horror budget CGI, no doubt about it.
I thought, like, if you're going to do these, Pennywise that big, this fire pit in this mouth of 7 rows of teeth and everything else, you might want to try a little bit harder or scale it down. You have a budget, work within your budget.
I mean, what did you think about Paul Bunyan coming to life? I was like, this is Goosebumps.
Yeah, that was...
It was too much.
And it was bad CGI.
It was just too much. Now, him sitting on top of Paul Bunyan with the fucking clump of balloons just sitting on his shoulder.
That was cool.
Freaky.
Yes.
Leave it at that. I don't need Paul Bunyan statue to come to life and try to stab somebody. That was too much.
Yeah, there were some... That was childish. I'll agree with that. And again, the CGI wasn't good. It really wasn't. And... How many times were there reflections of them looking in mirrors and seeing themselves as kids? Did that happen a couple times?
2 or 3, maybe 3 at most.
You know, I mean, I would have liked it, like, just at the end to, like, see them.
I liked it at the end. I thought
I thought that was cool because he comes full circle. I love when things come full circle and the whole circle of life crap. You know?
That's where I think when the movie started, they're making their blood pact, which that's fine. You could have shown them in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You transition to adults, and then at the very end, you show their reflection again in the mirror. They ride off on their bikes, happily ever after. And that's all you needed of the kids.
And the scene of the fat kid, is that politically correct?
Sure.
Okay. So
I think the PC is obese.
Obese. Well, they call him the fat kid in the movie.
He is fat.
So when he's in the high school, right? He's in school and Bev comes to talk to him and he's all like smitten with her. And then he's in the hallway and Pennywise is chasing him or something's chasing him, right?
Bev's head catches fire.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's like, you're a fat pig. No one would ever be your friend. And then he's like, Bev would never say this. Oh, my God. Not Bev. My boner's shrinking. And then her head catches fire and she chases after, which that was pretty cool, actually.
It was cool.
That was one of the better CGI effects, I thought.
It was better. Still a little not great. It was better. If you want to grade it in the movie, it was one of the better scenes. But again, not a necessary scene. I don't know. And
yeah, we know the fat kid likes Beverly.
He's running down the hall and he sees his own locker and he opens it up. How's his ass getting in that fucking locker? Okay. And then when you're in the locker is humongous. It's like a room inside there.
This is where you have to, it's like time warp, like, reality
warp. Is it that? That's what I'm saying.
Nightmare on Elm Street shit.
That was my question.
I'm getting it to it. Stop beating around the bush like you normally do. I made a hand gesture before that noise.
Around his small penis.
Yes. It still has that Elm Street vibe, man. There was so much in it that, like, they're going into Pennywise's house, too. It's just like, it's the old Elm Street house.
True.
All the doors are, like, manifestation in, like, different ways. And
that was another set of scenes where the monsters were fucking stupid. Like,
what was a scene from the first movie, too. The same three doors. You know, not scary at all. Scary, very scary.
And it was supposed to be funny. It wasn't funny. Because you knew it wasn't going to be that funny. It was a forced joke in there, you know?
Yeah, they show this little poof dog.
Yeah.
And it turns into a monster. It's not, he thinks they're getting tricked. He's like, oh, let's open a not very scary one. And it's, you know, this dog. For most part, I thought the humor was, a little lacking. It came across better as kids in the first movie. And I think it's just better because you don't expect kids to necessarily say those things, even though they do. But when you see a 40-year-old say it, you're just like, oh, he's just a douche. When a kid says it, it's funny. When an adult says it, he's just a douche.
Right.
So it's not as comical, even though it's the same type of lines.
No.
I mean, I laughed a couple times. I can't even recall the exact ones, but
yeah,
there was a couple mom jokes in there that were funny.
Yeah, and like I laughed like once or twice. Which is more than I usually do for Marvel movies. So
I mean, the Chinese scene when he's like saying he's married to fucking Billy's mom or somebody's mom.
Oh yeah.
You know, that shit was funny, but not too much. I mean, they referenced again his New Kids on the Block type of stuff. So that's where it's too repetitive.
Now, what about like that whole scene in the restaurant? They're beating this fucking chair over this table. It's like, die, motherfucker! You're like, all right, you die, right? The woman walks in and goes, oh, is everything okay? Like, wouldn't it be more realistic if you're like, what the fuck is going on? She starts yelling in fucking Chinese and shit.
I think she was so shocked. I don't know.
And then he's like, check, please. Which was supposed to be funny, but it's not. And I'm like, I don't know.
Just the whole time I kept thinking, I'd rather see the adults in these scenarios. Like, every time Pennywise was around, it wasn't with them as adults until the final showdown. It was always, they would flash back to the kids reliving what they already went through. Well, you should have just shown us that in the first movie. Then you would have had even more Pennywise in it and would have been even more cool of a movie. Yeah,
the only, I think, real scene where he approached him as an adult was when McAvoy's character went in after the kid, it's like Georgie Part 2, you know? So the kid's in the fun house with the mirrors, and he goes after him, and he's like, there's Pennywise, and like that was a cool scene. That was a whole cool setup. I liked the whole he sees his little brother in that kid. I like that part, but
yeah, I just
they
wanted
needed
to
more
see
adult
them.
interaction with Pennywise. You're right.
I wanted to
'Cause it
see
needed-
how are they tormented to make them feel unsafe as adults. You never
Yes.
get that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and it would be great to see them like poof, he's on the street. Really, now he sat on top of the shoulders, right, and he was an adult there, but it wasn't enough, and you didn't see the fear. They come back, they finally remember everything, and there's no fear as an adult. We're adults watching this movie, you know. I like to be scared as an adult,
And that's how they ultimately defeat him. Is
Right.
basically they say, we're going to shrink you down to size by saying you have no power over us. Which they do that in the first movie. As kids, when they beat him, they're like, we're not afraid of you anymore. And they do the exact same thing. They say, you're just a clown. You're not scary. Go away, clown. You're fucking nothing. And he starts shrinking down, and then they defeat him that way. It was the same exact defeat.
So why can't he come back?
He can. It depends how much of this they want to push, man.
Interesting you see that, because just as we're talking, Skarsgård, Bill Skarsgård is Pennywise, right?
He did a fantastic job in it, I thought his lines were awesome.
Oh, yeah.
He definitely sounds creepy. He's exactly the same as he is in the first movie. I mean, he pulled it off again, though.
So this just popped up as we're recording this, that will there be another It movie? And Skarsgård basically saying it has to be the right type of approach. The book ends where the movie ends. The book is over. There's nothing more to say about the book. So it'd have to be like a standalone story. And there could be another story to it. If you defeated him that way in the first movie, you defeat him the same way in the second movie. Maybe he moves to another town. I would like to see a move to another town.
I'd like to see his origin story. They don't really reveal how he came to be, other than some carnival went awry.
Yeah. And
that's literally all we know. But what's the background? Who was his dad? Was his dad possessed that made into his kid when whatever went awry at the carnival? And
right.
I don't know. Nobody knows. So make an origin. It would be cool as shit.
And you see the photo in that old lady's apartment, which was Bev's old apartment. And you see, my father was in the circus. And it was like Pennywise's father, I think. Or was Pennywise that guy in the picture? I don't know. Looks like him, right? I would love to see an origin story. And Skarsgård goes on to say here that it would be something interesting to think about, and it would be fun. I bet you he's totally on board with doing another movie.
Well, obviously, he wants the payday, man.
Exactly. And if you do an origin movie, obviously he's in it 85% of the fucking movie. And maybe
that's all anybody wants, too.
Yeah.
You want fucking the clown. We don't need another story about a different group of kids. Been
And
there,
that's
done
true.
that. It's just, it's same story, just different group. And you can't take them out of town because Derry's the only thing that apparently gives them powers. Once they were out of Derry, they had no problems. They just forgot what was even happening. Really, the black guy, I don't remember his name.
Mike Hanlon.
Mike. I just remember Chosen Jacobs, the kid. He's the only one that's really fucked up because he's the only one who stayed in the town.
Stayed there.
And then he finally leaves at the end. So.
Yeah, because he's free. And he relates it to being in a prison. He's like, I've been in prison for 27 years. I can finally be free. And that's kind of cool, though, that he stayed around. He was the beacon. He was there afraid that Pennywise would come back. So he stayed. And he made that sacrifice of staying and reliving that shit every fucking day. I mean, it's obviously fucking traumatizing, And he makes this decision to stay and be the one that calls out. And they're like, Mike who? Who the fuck? Why would you not remember him? And I was like, why aren't they remembering? Has it just been that long? Have they repressed the memories? Well, yeah, but it's also the power.
It's the power of Pennywise.
And I tell you what, man, that town is really fucked up to have that huge cave underneath it. This fucking, I don't know, thing where he cocoon rock thing and he lives in there. That's pretty wild. And they alluded to some comets too, falling, right? Those 3 bright lights, and there was a comet somewhere in the night. I remember that. I don't know what part of it. You're looking at me like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I don't remember comments. I know the 3 bright
Yeah.
lights, yeah. And that's why Beverly has the visions that she has, because these bright lights gave it to her in the first movie.
Right. And then Richie at the end.
Richie gets it.
He gets pulled up. So could there be, I don't know. What the fuck did
A
he
spin-off
really
where
see?
Richie's a fucking fortune teller now? Like, he's telling jokes, but
He
as a
works it
fortune
into
teller?
his act.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about Richie, because leading up to seeing the movie this week, all the reviews were like, Bill Hader's performance is Oscar worthy. It's so emotional. Just wait for his final speech. You're going to be in tears and blah, blah, blah.
That's me rolling my eyes and vomiting. That's ridiculous.
Did they watch a different fucking movie? Because he was Bill Hader in real life.
That's what I was just going to say. He was Bill Hader in
Yeah.
this movie. That's
Yeah.
why he was cast for it. He is the perfect person to play
Sure.
Richie, but Richie and Bill Hader are the same person. You can't win an
Yeah.
Oscar for playing yourself.
No, and where was this huge Oscar-winning speech? I didn't see anything that lasted more than like 15 seconds.
And
with
why
him.
was it emotional for him? Just because of how it ended? Again,
With like Eddie dying, was that the emotional part? And
that he actually loved him, like, as
now
more than a friend.
I don't know.
So that makes it so emotional. Oh, it's tugging at my heartstrings.
I
It
didn't
felt
get
a
it.
little forced if you're going to say that's why it was made emotional.
It wasn't
Because
emotional
everybody
for
else
me.
had the same exact emotions. They all loved Eddie too, just as friends.
Yeah.
Weren't they just as sad to see him die? Obviously.
Like, oh, we loved him too. You know, everybody fucking loves Eddie.
They were kind of like crying about it, not as much as he was, like when they're sitting in the quarry. I mean, they all were traumatized by it.
Sure. I do not get that statement made by multiple people out there.
Makes no sense to me.
The professional critics were all saying that. I don't get it, man. Don't
I also saw
understand
that most of the other ones were just phoned in. I didn't catch that whatsoever either. I thought everybody did a pretty good job, man.
it. Yeah.
I mean, there was a couple times where McAvoy, I kind of went into Split mode. I'm like, he's the same fucking character from Split, but I don't think he did a bad job.
I don't think he did a bad job. I just think it was McAvoy being McAvoy. You know, like
But he wasn't fucking Magneto. It's not like,
No.
oh, Magneto's in this movie.
Magneto.
I'm sorry, Charles Xavier.
Who's the Marvel fan, huh?
Wrong fucking mutant. Well, he certainly wasn't Magneto in this movie. It's not a false statement. This is what happens when I
Fake
don't have,
fan.
This is what happens when I don't have notes.
What, you turn into a fake fan?
Yeah,
So you're only a fan if you have notes.
that's right.
I got it.
Fucking Yvette Brown. She's a super fan, right?
I guess so. Do you think she took notes watching this movie? She thinks she takes notes in every fucking thing she watches?
Yes.
And has like journals set aside?
Yeah.
Anyway, I think the character that I enjoy watching the most, and not just because it was a woman, was Beverly. Like, I liked her adult character. I thought she was really cool. And like she showed probably the most emotion out of all of them, maybe. Like, I kind of felt for her, just all the shit she went through. And I think her acting was top
Dude,
notch.
the scenes with
But
her as a kid and then a dad are so uncomfortable.
aren't they?
When he's spraying the perfume and like sniffing,
Yeah.
I don't know, it looked like panties. I don't know what the fuck it was.
Yeah.
Probably like a scarf or something, but
Imagine being like the actress, the
yeah,
kid actress.
she's like got a hug in there, like, oh, you're my
That is fucking freaky. But that all added to, I think that transformed very well into the adult character.
But that's why the movie is not necessarily horror. It's more
No,
drama. There's a lot
no.
of tension in the movie, but it's not horror filled. There's not slashing and dashing. It's dicing.
No,
Like it's
like if they say this is the highest grossing horror movie, and it's not a horror movie. I guess you kind of lump
I mean,
it in there.
you have to, as far as
I hate that's why
categorizing
I hate
it,
labels, but
you have to do that. But it's not horror in its truest sense. It's more it's
No.
tension based.
yeah, no, it's like not horror.
Do you think they showed Ben getting the shit written on his stomach just so that dude could show his abs off?
Yes, and why did he not have the scar in the first place from when he was a kid?
They weren't deep enough. I don't know.
I don't know, man. Looked like it was pretty fucking painful the first time around.
His emotional scars run deeper. I was just like, this is so gratuitous. And it's like, you want to talk that fucking Me Too shit. Here's a guy like literally just showing abs for no sake whatsoever. Just, I want to show my abs. Such shit goes on both ways. That's all I'm saying.
I'm surprised you don't sit here and just show off your abs.
I should.
No, please don't.
I can post a picture.
Oh my God.
If you want to write it,
fans left and right.
Yeah, they'll be all. I'll be getting love letters. I can't have that.
They'll be like fake fan because there is no nerd that is built that well.
I just thought it was like, again, not needed. I was just like, it's a little much for me.
And the acting during that was so fucking over the top. That was Nightmare on Elm Street again.
Yeah, it's like Freddy cutting somebody in his dream.
And just the whole like every dude, fucking man up.
I thought that was you orgasming to that floppy titted lady in the movie.
You know, you said it that was
imagine
like,
TF and that.
Oh. And you said that was like my mom. You're just lucky that I got your mom a boob job.
Hey. Can we talk money on this fucker?
Yeah, I did not see any money, so what do you know?
It's expected to be, the final numbers aren't out because it's Sunday, but numbers are supposed to be around 95 million. It's a little less than it was. What was the original?
It was up there.
I want to say 130 million. I do have this on my notes. 123 million on the original. So not too bad for a sequel. I think they'll take it. It's going to be the second highest grossing horror movie of all time, next to obviously Chapter 1. So I don't think they mind losing to themselves.
Nah.
It's going to beat Halloween by about 20 million. That was currently number 2. So it defeated that handily.
A sequel beating that.
Well, that was also its fucking 9th movie.
Well,
10th movie.
I look at that Halloween. It's just like,
this is why
like starting over.
This is why I told you they'll be lucky if that Halloween movie makes more than $50 million.
It's gonna make shit, dude.
Look how much less this made, and Pennywise is everywhere this weekend.
It's so fucking popular.
Target had an entire end cap. Walmart had an entire end cap. Hot Topics half the fucking store. FYE has a huge display. That's like the entire front of their store. Everywhere you look is Pennywise. Michael, there's like maybe 1 or 2 things at each store, if that.
And next week, it'll all be gone.
Yeah, pretty much. Like end of this month, for sure.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, they'll keep it because Halloween's right around the corner. They'll keep it through their Halloween displays and then it'll be gone. But it's just, I'm saying that movie made basically 30 million less. And you're going to say Halloween's not going to make half probably of what it... And it's not as nearly as big a property.
It's not going to do as well. Even if you took it like percentage-wise, say this was like a 25% drop, you're probably looking at a 35 or more on Halloween, I think.
And then
I just don't think people want to fucking see it after the first one. I don't care who liked the first one or second or third. What is the second one now? You got to call it the second one? Whatever. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to have staying power, especially knowing that there's a third movie being filmed at basically the same time and it's not over. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
Wait for it to come out on fucking video.
No consequence.
Yeah. I really don't want to go see it. But
so what's Rotten Tomato score on this is what, 66%, I want to say? Audience score was like 83, somewhere in that ballpark.
So again, another little disparity there. Is that the word?
Not too big, though.
Is that the word I'm looking for?
I think critics should be a little bit harder than your normal fanboy, so...
Sure.
As long as it's not, like, double.
No, which we see on plenty. Yeah, 64%. That's lower than I thought it would be.
And what's the audience score?
And the audience score is 81%.
All right, so it dropped a little bit. Do you want to give our scores?
Yes, since you're so unprepared, I think I'll go first.
All right.
Now you can go. This is how unprepared we are. I can't even make up my mind. Go for it.
I've been bouncing back and forth between a 7 and a 7.5. I think I'm going to go with the 7, just because of the repetitive nature of it. And I don't know. I think they should have just made it entirely separate. Don't bring the kids back. I think it would have felt more fresh. I said again, it kind of made the first movie not that relevant. Like, you really didn't need to see it. If you go see this movie because somebody's bugging you to go with, and you're like, oh, I haven't seen the first one, I can't go, you won't be confused whatsoever.
No, I don't think so.
And again, it was good, not great. I think the first movie is a solid 9. Like, I thought one of the best horror, again, I'm using the quotations, in the last
Yeah, like everybody can fucking see them.
10, 15 years. So, I mean, I really think that's a great movie. One of the all-time greats. So, it just doesn't compare. This movie does not compare to that. So, 7.
All right.
Which I'm right in the middle between Rotten Tomato scores, basically.
Do you feel better that you agree with both sides?
I feel like that score is justified for once. I could see both sides of it.
Both sides of it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I will start off by saying that I will agree that it's a good movie, not great. It's not a piece of shit. It's not garbage. There are a lot of really good qualities about the movie that I thoroughly enjoyed.
Oh, speaking of garbage, it reminded me of Star Wars. Did you like the Star Wars jokiness? That was funny. When he's talking about Richie's mom, or Richie's talking about the other kid's mom, and he starts speaking in Jabba the Hutt's voice.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah, it was funny.
Sorry, your garbage comment reminded me.
Anyway, but again, nobody likes Star Wars or cares about it whatsoever. It shows up everywhere. Did they make a He-Man fucking reference?
They should have.
No, but the kid did have a Thundercats shirt on.
They had Thundercats figures too. I saw a couple.
That's pretty cool. And I like that it was Thundercats and not He-Man. It wasn't G.I. Joe. It was fucking Thundercats. That's pretty cool. Anyway, get back to my fucking score, okay? I'm giving it, and I was hesitant to give it this high, but I give it this high because the things that I didn't like, everything else compensated for. I wasn't bored. I was, like I said, I was scared I was gonna sit there and be like, oh my God, is this thing fucking over yet? I was not bored at all. The CGI was weak in parts. It was repetitive. It was almost the same movie. I get that part, but I thought the acting was decent on both sides, the kids and the adults. I think it all flowed well together.
It does do a good job bouncing back and forth. You're never like, oh, this seems choppy. It never was choppy.
No, and that was a big plus for me because like when you deal with flashbacks, and I was worried about like just cutting too much.
Yeah, agreed.
And the whole movie is flashbacks, really. Until the end, it's all one big fucking set of flashbacks, which Walking Dead does the terrible job with that.
Yeah, that's the opposite end of what you don't want to do.
This is how you do it.
Yeah.
So I give them kudos for, knowing how to use flashbacks. It's also, I found a movie that if I did not go see it in the theater, I wouldn't have cared. It's a movie that I don't think you 100% have to rush out and go see.
There's no big like explosion type scenes. There's nothing like as terms of the soundtrack that, oh my God, it's so, you need whatever 8.5 whatever fucking surround they got.
Yeah, no. Even the story, it wasn't like I have to know what happens after the first part. Like the way that they did it, I didn't.
Horror movies are almost always like that though. They're kind of better off in a small, dark, intimate space than a big theater. It's not going to be an action adventure
unless
movie.
Like you said, you have the big flash, but obviously with the lower budget you don't, so you don't have to rush out and go see it, but you should want to go see it because you saw part 1 and you really liked it. But if you want to wait for it to come out on video or DVD, Blu-ray, whatever, it's not a big deal if you don't go fucking see it. That kind of hurts it too. So all those things, I give it a 7 because overall, it's a decent movie.
Is this the first time we've had a score the same?
No.
I think we're always by like at least a 0.5 off.
I was going to give it a 6.
Oh, that's too harsh.
But it was too harsh. Because and you know what? I really didn't think that McAvoy's performance was spectacular. He went through motions. He's a good actor. He's really good. Borderline great actor. But he went through motions in this movie. That's why I liked Jessica Chastain's acting a lot better. I just think like you really felt the emotion more with her. He was going through the motions. She was acting emotionally. That was another reason why I kind of dropped it, because I had high expectations for McAvoy. But that's it. That's what I give it.
7s across the board.
Yeah, lucky 7.
I want to give DC props. That's right. DC.
I'm having trouble breathing.
Give them props where they're due.
Having trouble.
Both these movies are, of course, Suicide Squad and It are WB. I liked how the last trailer, you think the movie is starting. The fucking WB logo comes up, balloons come up, and then you see the DC logo and you're like, what the fuck? And then Harley Quinn comes out and she like mallets the balloons and says something like, I'm tired of clowns.
Yeah.
And then you get like a 30-second, if that, Suicide Squad trailer.
Birds of Prey trailer.
Did it even say Birds of Prey on it?
Yep.
That's how uninfluential this trailer was. Like, the footage of the actual movie looked bad.
How you didn't see at the end, it said Birds of Prey and the emancipation of Harley Quinn, whatever it is. You must.
I was like listening to the music that was playing, whatever song, I forget.
You're the most unobserving person. I'm surprised you actually
saw it. The footage
saw it.
of the movie was bad, but the marketing idea of it was brilliant. It was a great advertising campaign.
Good for you.
So, job well done on DC's part for once.
He's like,
until the movie comes out.
He's like, for whatever fucking movie it was, Wonder Woman. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
it's still Suicide Squad 2. I don't care what they call it.
So then Suicide Squad 2 will be Suicide Squad 3 for you.
They won't even be one.
You heard it here. He's predicting.
After Birds of Prey bombs, and you can't even have Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad 2, who the fuck would want to see it?
I don't know. Your boy James Gunn is going to save it. He's the savior.
We'll see. I don't think he'll do it.
We'll see. So.
That's all I got. Give the plugs, yo.
If you want to get in touch with us here at Dysfunctional Nerdcast, dysfunctionalnerdcast@gmail.com is our email address. Instagram, Dysfunctional Nerdcast. Facebook, just look for us at Dysfunctional Nerdcast. YouTube, lots of videos up there. Cool stuff that Aaron puts up. Did you do the Toonie Terrors?
No, I'm slacking on that. I wanted to do a box opening too of the new Hot Topic Pennywise Funko box, and I was too lazy for that as well.
Like the box opening, like you're a 12-year-old kid in their fucking bedroom.
They're some of the biggest.
And like your mom's knocking on the door.
They're like the most popular videos.
Aaron, what are you doing in there? Mom, leave me alone. I'm doing an unboxing video.
That's right.
Anyway, they are cool. And Twitter, Aaron.
At the Nerdcast.
Thank you. So again, look for us at 4 State Comic Con. That's coming up.
That's right. We'll have a review of that. We're going to have an interview with your boy.
Maybe coming up after this episode. We'll see. Coming up soon, I did an interview phone call with Ben Goldsmith. He writes for Source Point Press. We kind of touched on that a little bit from our Keystone Comic Con review, but it was a really cool conversation. Really cool dude. Talked about a lot about Source Point Press and the stories that he's writing, some off-the-wall tangents and shit, and I'll have that up and, check out his stuff. Source Point Press, Seance Room. He has a new book coming out, RV9, and Beyond the Deep in the Sea was the other book. Some cool shit. Good stuff coming out of Source Point, too. A lot of good shit coming out.
So make sure to follow us. Give us the 5-star reviews on iTunes. That way you don't miss this stuff. And until next time...